Something inside you has been sending signals, not loudly, not urgently, but consistently. At first it was easy to ignore. You told yourself you were just tired, that you needed rest, that you needed discipline, that you needed to push harder. And for a while, pushing harder worked. You could override the resistance. You could force movement. You could maintain the illusion of momentum. But something underneath never fully cooperated. You began noticing it in quiet moments. Moments when no one was watching. Moments when you weren't performing. Moments when you weren't distracting yourself. You would pause, and in that pause, you could feel it. A subtle disconnect between what you were doing and what your system actually supported. It wasn't dramatic, it was structural. Because beneath your thoughts, beneath your emotions, beneath your identity itself, there exists a deeper framework that governs everything you do. Your core values. Not the ones you say out loud. Not the ones you were taught to repeat. The ones your system actually obeys. Your core values are the internal directives that determine where your energy flows naturally and where it withdraws automatically. They determine what feels meaningful and what feels empty, what feels stabilizing and what feels destabilizing, what feels right and what feels wrong. Every decision you make passes through this internal filter. Every direction you move either strengthens your internal coherence or weakens it. And when your life aligns with your core values, everything becomes more efficient, not easier. Clarity removes friction. Clarity removes hesitation. Clarity removes internal conflict. Because your system is no longer divided against itself. But when your life is built on values that are not truly yours, something else happens. Your system begins to resist. Not emotionally, structurally. Because misalignment creates internal instability, and your system is designed to protect you from instability. From the moment you entered the world, external systems began installing values into you. Your family installed values designed to ensure your safety. Your environment installed values designed to ensure your acceptance. Your education installed values designed to ensure your productivity. These values were necessary. They gave you structure. They gave you stability. They gave you a way to function in a world that already existed before you arrived. Without them, survival would have been difficult, but survival and alignment are not the same thing. Survival requires adaptation. Alignment requires accuracy. Adaptation teaches you how to belong. Alignment teaches you how to exist. And for most of your early life, adaptation was enough. You followed the paths presented to you. You pursued the goals that made sense within the framework you were given. You accepted identities that provided stability. And your system cooperated because stability was the priority. But over time, something began to change. You began collecting your own internal data, your own experiences, your own signals. Signals that could not be explained by external programming. Signals that revealed preferences you were never taught. Signals that revealed resistance you were never allowed to express. Signals that revealed truth beneath adaptation. These signals were your core values emerging, not as ideas, as structural responses. Your system began generating energy in certain directions and withdrawing energy from others. You may not have understood it at the time, but your system was recalibrating. It was identifying what aligned with your authentic framework and what did not. This is when friction begins, not as punishment, as protection. You begin losing motivation for things that once drove you, not because you became weaker, because your system stopped investing energy into misaligned paths. You begin questioning identities you once maintained automatically, not because you became confused, because your system began rejecting incompatible roles. You begin feeling disconnected from goals you once believed defined you, not because you lost purpose, because your system began demanding accuracy. This is the beginning of realignment. But realignment is often misunderstood because from the outside, it can look like regression. It can look like loss. It can look like instability. But internally, it is structural correction. Every action you take in misalignment creates internal tension, and tension consumes energy. The more your life moves in directions that contradict your core values, the more energy your system must spend holding that structure together. Energy that could have been used for growth, clarity, and transformation is instead used to maintain something that was never designed for you. This is why misalignment feels exhausting. Not because you are weak, not because you lack discipline, but because your system is operating against itself. Your system cannot sustain incompatible movement forever. At first, it allows it. It tolerates it. It adapts to protect stability. But over time, it begins to resist. It slows you down. It reduces your motivation. It creates hesitation, not to punish you, but to redirect you, because your core values function as your internal navigation system. Without them, you rely entirely on external signals, expectations, approval, definitions of success that were never created specifically for you. These external signals can guide you temporarily, but they cannot stabilize you permanently. They are constantly changing, constantly shifting, constantly demanding adjustment. Your core values are different. They remain stable. They do not change based on trends. They do not change based on approval. They do not change based on fear. They exist beneath everything else, quietly directing your system toward coherence. And when your life aligns with them, something begins to stabilize. Your system stops fighting itself. Energy stops leaking. Resistance stops forming, not because everything becomes easy, but because everything becomes accurate. Accuracy restores efficiency. You stop forcing yourself into roles that don't belong to you. You stop negotiating with resistance. You stop fragmenting your attention across paths that your system does not support. Instead, your movement becomes direct, clear, sustainable, because resistance is not created by difficulty. Resistance is created by misalignment. When alignment exists, effort no longer feels like force. It feels like cooperation. Your system supports your direction instead of resisting it. This is why clarifying your core values changes everything. Not externally at first. Internally, your perception begins to shift. You start recognizing what aligns with you and what doesn't. Not based on what looked impressive, not based on what earns approval, but based on what your system supports. You begin to notice what restores your energy and what drains it, what creates expansion and what creates contraction. These signals are not random, they are structural feedback. Your system is constantly communicating with you, showing you where alignment exists and where it doesn't. Most people ignore these signals. They override them. They continue pursuing paths that were built on expectation instead of truth. They maintain identities that were constructed through adaptation instead of alignment. But eventually, your system stops cooperating. You begin losing motivation for things that once drove you. You begin questioning paths you once followed automatically. You begin feeling disconnected from versions of yourself that were built for survival, not alignment. This is not dysfunction. This is recalibration. Your system is withdrawing energy from misaligned structures. It is restoring coherence. It is bringing your core values back online. And as this happens, your life begins reorganizing itself. Not through force, through accuracy. You stop pursuing incompatible directions naturally. You stop maintaining incompatible identities naturally. You stop investing energy into structures that do not belong to you because your system no longer supports them. Instead, your energy begins flowing toward alignment, toward coherence, toward stability. This process cannot be forced. It can only be allowed because your core values were never created by external systems. They were revealed through your direct experience. They were always there, beneath the noise, beneath the adaptation, beneath the expectations, waiting for recognition, waiting for authority. And once they begin directing your life, everything changes. Not instantly. Structurally, your decisions become clearer. Your direction becomes stable. Your energy becomes consistent because your system is no longer divided.